Hello, my dear friends. This is a small video on something called as SOP. Some of these private colleges, for some of the specific programs, are asking for a document which they are calling a statement of purpose (SOP). Right. So, through this video, I just want to touch upon what the idea of an SOP is, how or what we are supposed to write in the SOP, and how we can go about it. Things that you should do, you should not do. अगेन 2 मिनट का काम है, 5 मिनट में करके 7 मिनट में फ्री कर दूंगा, ठीक है. I do not have any doubt on your writing abilities, and therefore I'll talk about the guidelines, the process, believing firmly that you will be able to write your statement of purpose on your own, right? So, statement of purpose, first of all, the most important question: what is the purpose of statement of purpose? So, this statement of purpose is a reflection of your personality. When you write your statement of purpose, you will share with the reader who you are. You will share with the reader your goals, your aspirations, and therefore you will share with the reader your achievements probably as well, your hobbies, your learnings, whatever they are, and therefore the reader will have an idea of who you are and probably where you want to be. Where you see your life taking you, or what your aspirational goals are. Now, as someone who is looking to give you admission into a college admission committee, for example, when your SOP reaches that committee, they will have an idea of why you want to join their college. है ना? आपने लिखा होगा भाई, this is who I am, this is what I've achieved, this is what I've learned, and in the future this is the kind of skill set that I need. Now I run the college. I understand what we're going to teach in the program in the college, and I'm able to see, okay, this is what you want to get from the college. So the SOP tells the admission committee why you want to join. Why this is important is because, see, to join a graduation program, it is advisable that you have the prerequisites. Now, when I say prerequisites, I do not mean a PCM student cannot apply for a BBA program, right? But at least that skill set has to be there. If I'm someone who has no idea of biology, I should ideally not be going for a doctor's program. If I'm someone who struggles with maths, even 5 plus 7 is a problem for me. I should not be probably applying for a statistics program, right? So the prerequisites have to be there. The second point is, once you get into a college, you're going to spend the next 3 4 years in your college. They will be very important years because those years could lead to your first job. Those years will definitely shape who you are as a person, not just personally but professionally as well. Right now, if you are someone who does not have the right kind of motivation. Now, when I say motivation, I'm not saying quantity of motivation, but the direction of motivation. I am someone, for example, who's looking for maybe a research sort of a job, right? Or that kind of a program, and I end up in a marketing course of a program. Chances are my motivation or my expectation might not be met. So the admission committee understands what your motivation, what your passion is to join a program, and therefore, if there is a match between what you want and what the college can offer, chances are you will stay motivated and therefore do a good job in the college. You will, for yourself and the college, right? At the end of the day, you are someone who's going to make the college proud. You pass out as a alumni, go to top ranks in the professional world, achieve lots of things in life. You make the college proud. So you are their Google ad at the end of the day. uh, once you get into a college, once you pass out, people will come to you to understand how good the program is. Should they join or not? And therefore, if your motivation matches what the college can offer, it is a good thing for both you and the college, right? The statement of purpose technically will answer these questions. Okay. Now the second point is, or the material point is, what should be the contents of the SOP? SOP मुझे actually में लिखना क्या है? Should I write, the college is great, I want to be great, let us become great together? Nahin. So basically, there are three questions that you would want to answer in the SOP. The first is past. So when I say past, I mean, I'll talk about all of these questions in a little bit detail as well. But just to put it in one page, one slide, the first is past. Past matlab who you are, your achievements, your extracurricular activities, your experiences. They have shaped you in a manner. They've given you a set of skill set, uh, right? So that is your past, who you are. Second is purpose, where you want to be. What are your long-term, short-term goals? For that, what is the kind of skills that you need? Now, once you are able to define these two areas, who I am and where I want to be, ideally the third question is answered by default. If I am someone who's good at, say, again, math, and I want to be someone who is who's doing investments in the stock market, probably I want to learn finance, right? So the course should give me the knowledge of finance and how to practically apply it in the real world. That is my expectation from the college, and that becomes the third P, or program, right? So the my SOP is answering three questions for the reader: my past, who I am; my purpose, where I want to be; and the reason for the program, why the program will help me go from my past to my purpose, right? Whenever you talk about the program or why the college, there are two areas that you should look at. See, when I say what I want to do in life or what I want to study in graduation, ideally there are three parts to it. Number one is, say, I want to study economics, right? The second is the program that the college offers. A college might be offering me a pure program in economics. It could be economics and data science. It could be economics coupled with, I don't know, international finance or something like that. Right. So the program, so the subject, the program, and then which college is offering that program. The college will obviously have different attributes. It will have different types of activities. Now, when I'm answering the question, the subject typically is clear, in the sense that uh, because you're applying for a specific program, you have by default chosen the subject. What you want to answer in terms of program is unique points about the program, about the course, number one, and unique points about the college. Right. So the third question has to have two parts: why the program, why the course, why the college. In my SOP, these three questions have to be answered very clearly. ठीक है? अब एक एक करके जल्दी जल्दी से बात कर लेते हैं. When I say past, what can I write? Again, there is a very good chance your academic track record will be a part of this. Your achievements, your internships, extracurricular activities, MUN seminars, whatever is there could be a part of it. Your experiences. Now, when I say internship, extracurricular, these are formal experiences. There might be informal experiences as well. You helped someone, you took a position of responsibility, you took a responsibility at home, you're doing something outside of school which is helping you uh, create some sort of skill. You might be doing, someone might be running a small business or something like that. So there might be informal experiences as well. When I say business, informal, I'm trying to say it is not something that is on a paper per se, but you're doing things apart from the formal setup. So the experiences that you have informally. Apart from that, the other good leader, you're someone who has worked in teams, you're someone who understands people well, you're someone who is empathetic, you're someone who has lots of hard skills. So you might be someone who has a good knowledge, you might be someone who has done a course on finance, hard skills, versus team building, leadership, soft skills. So the other hard skills and soft skills that you have, your hobbies and interests. This also typically could be an important part, because a lot of times what might happen is, when I'm deciding my graduate program or when I talk about my college, a lot of students, that is the first time, get to work seriously on their hobbies. A lot of students, right? For example, I'm someone who probably is interested in photography, but because of class 12th, uh, because of a lack of better word, pressure, यार टाइम ही नहीं मिला. ठीक है, 10th 11th तक थोड़ा कर दे, फिर छूट ही गई. अब ग्रेजुएशन में जब जाओगे, यू कैन पिक दैट अप अगेन. You might be someone who's good at a sport, but 11th 12th में छूट गया था. You might pick that up in college. So that might also be part of your pitch why you should be selected in that college. So hobbies and interests could be used. All in all, what I'm trying to say is there are two types of things that you can pick up from your past that will help you build a case for your admission to a college. One is something that sets you apart, ideally a positive aspect, your ability to handle pressure. it is not something which is on paper a very formal or very sort of hard skill, but a soft skill, right? So something that sets you apart. You are ranked internationally in chess, something that sets you apart, uh, or something that is a trigger which sets the ball rolling. What I mean by trigger is, see, suppose I am someone who is pursuing PCM. I'm just taking examples here and trying to keep the examples as extreme as possible. अब मेरा PCM में interest है, but class 11th में it so happened that I was say reading something, a newspaper or something. I came across an article of economics. I found it interesting. तो मैंने थोड़ा थोड़ा पढ़ना चालू कर दिया. धीरे धीरे आई रियलाइज कि इसका एप्लीकेशन स्टॉक मार्केट में है. सो आई स्टार्टेड डमी ट्रेडिंग थोड़ा बहुत on apps, and that has grown. Okay, so over time, while I am actually studying PCM, but there was a trigger that started, and now I'm someone who's interested in finance as well. So that could be a trigger that I might want to use in my past, right? Or for that matter, I am someone who saw a solution for a problem which emanated from engineering, and therefore I went for PCM. So that solution triggered my interest in the subject. So it could be a trigger as well. So anything that sets you apart, anything that can act as a trigger, as something that pushed you towards where you are going, are things that you want to include in your past. Your achievements, your awards buttress your case in the sense that they show when you do well, how well you can do, and therefore it is something that you will take with you to the college as well. So those are also things that can be mentioned. So that is the first, not first as in order, but one question that needs to be answered: who you are. The second is purpose, your short term, long term goals, your reason to study a subject, ideally something practical. I mean, to say that I want to get into BBA because उसका MBA करूँगा पैसा बहुत मिलता है. Now जरूरी नहीं है वैसा हो, right? But if you are someone who has genuine interest in say finance or how businesses work, your motivation will stay stronger. I mean, what a college can do for you is teach you. It can give you skills, it can give you knowledge. So that reason for that interest in the subject should ideally be mentioned. Skills that you require from the program, this is very very important. You might be someone who say has a fear of public speaking, and therefore you wish to join a UG program which gives you a lot of extracurricular activities, and I think that is completely fair. you know that is a skill set that I need, and my college is going to do it for me. So the skills that you want to acquire, typically a lot of these skills will be skills that you'll use in your professional career or your job. uh, your plans after graduation, again, not something that people do, but what do you want to do once you graduate? So these are things that combine to tell me my purpose. Now when I say long term goals, short term goals, uh, avoid thinking of materialistic aspects because they can be achieved through different means, right? When I say long term goals, talk about specifics of what you want to do. For example, if I'm talking about my professional career, I would want to talk about the kind of things I see myself doing, the the responsibilities that I see for myself, the challenges that I see for myself in my professional career, to talk about those kind of aspects, right? Now once your present and your future is identified uh, clearly, by default you understand the requirement to go from A to B. So basically, just a second, yeah. The program that you're applying for, the course that you're applying for, should be the bridge between your past and your purpose. Right? When I say past, I'm saying from your birth till now. Purpose is where you want to be. Right? So once these two things are identified, and the program is the bridge for taking you from point A to B, your expectation from the college is clear, the skill set that will give you, your expectations from the program is clear. Now, whenever you're talking about the college or the program, there will always be this uh, you know urge to talk about excellent faculty, great peer network, amazing campus. Please don't do that, you know because ये तो सबके लिए लिख सकते हैं यार. ठीक. So when you're talking about the college of the program, The first thing that you want to do is be factual. Factual in the sense, open their website, read about the college. वो अपने पहले पेज पे लिख के देते हैं why you should choose this college, है ना? So once you have done that exercise, two things happen. Number one, your conviction increases towards the college. Number two, when the college reads your SOP, they realize you've done the basic homework, and therefore you know what to expect. At least on paper, you know what to expect, right? So yeah, once both the things are identified, the college program becomes the bridge for going from the past to the future. And then the second part of this answer is why specifically this college. For example, if I've identified that I want to do say a BSc in finance, right? So why a BSc in finance from college A and not from college B? Because I'm applying, when I write an SOP, typically I write it for a specific college, right? And therefore why this college is the best option. So what is unique about this college? What is this college doing differently that I am interested in applying specifically to this college? So the third question should have two parts to the answer: why the program and why the college. You might skip on why the subject because it is a broad sort of a thing, and you've made that choice in a way. So yeah, why the program or course and why the college are two things that you'd want to answer, right? Once a piece of paper answers these three questions, it has served its purpose. Now, what should be the structure of the purpose? Structure of the SOP. When I say structure, I mean which question to answer first, which question to answer second. Again, a very obvious sort of a thing would be who I am, where I want to be, how the college helps. But please understand, there is no hard rule. It is your SOP, it is your call. Be creative in this process. You could very well start from the positives of the college, where you want to be, and therefore how that college is in line with where you want to be and what you already have, right? As long as it is something that is uh, a good read, it is okay. Starting with a hook is also a good idea. A hook could be a story, could be an anecdote, right? It captures interest very quickly. But please understand, it is not a necessity. कभी कभी क्या होता है, हम लिखने बैठते हैं एसओपी और हम मेजर राइटर्स ब्लॉक में फंस जाते हैं. फिर हम हुक सोचते रहते हैं और वो स्टार्ट अच्छा नहीं मिल पाता हमें. इवन दो व्हाट वी हैव रिटन मेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ सेंस, बट इनहेरेंटली वी कीप फीलिंग यार वो पंच नहीं है इसमें. It is okay as long as the SOP conveys all the ideas. It is okay. बहुत ज्यादा वो नहीं, but yes, if you can put in a hook early, nothing like it. The hook could be a story, an anecdote. It could also be where the world is going. It could also be something unique that you know about the college. But all in all, you have to answer the three questions in whatever order you feel fit, as long as there is a proper flow to that written piece. It should not be jumpy कि अचानक से कॉलेज की बात हो रही थी, अचानक से मेरी बात हो गई, फिर पता चला मैं करना कुछ और चाह रहा था. वो नहीं होना चाहिए, right? If you think that once you've written all the three answers or all the three questions have been answered and you feel that the SOP seems to be a little open-ended in that sense, मतलब closure नहीं मिल पा रहा है, you can also include a conclusion which will very quickly highlight the most important points of all the three answers. उनको एक साथ लिखूंगा तो मेरे conclusion सा बन जाएगा, and that could be the end of my SOP. Things to remember while writing the SOP: it has to be coherent, it has to be relevant. There is no point writing unnecessary stories because again पता चल जाता है, right? Unless it is a coherent piece, the reader will not give enough attention to what they're reading and therefore will not remember what they've read. Now what happens is, if there is an SOP, suppose there is an SOP and interview sort of a thing happening, so typically the SOP will be read before your interview. If the SOP has points that can be discussed, your interview will revolve around it. So as long as it is relevant information, as long as it is coherent information, the information will stick and you will be able to answer questions better. Always try to write a succinct sort of a piece, because देखो, अगर आपको भी कुछ पढ़ना है, मतलब we now are in a reality where a 30-second reel also has to start with watch till the end. हम 30 seconds तक भी we don't want to stay attentive on something. So in that kind of a world, it makes sense that every line that you write serves a purpose. Unnecessarily flowery language use करके इधर उधर fillers डाल के बहुत ज्यादा फायदा नहीं होता. In the globalized world, the economies are merging together, and therefore I find a space for a person who is, अरे क्या फायदा है सबका यार, समझ रहे हो? It is not serving any purpose unless it is part of something that a point that I'm trying to make. So be succinct, and a rule that cannot be broken is, if there is a word limit, the word limit should not be exceeded no matter what. ठीक है, वो होता है 10%, 5%, बट मैं बोलूंगा मत करो, because see, a lot of times what happens is you are supposed to enter this SOP on a computer. वहां पे by default ही word limit पे वो खत्म हो जाएगा. If it is a 500 word limit, the moment you reach 500 words, it will stop. Also, when you're looking at the word limit, please understand 500 characters is different from 500 words. I know you know this, but जब हम लिख रहे होते हैं कभी कभी भूल जाते हैं. ABCDE is 5 characters. BLADE is 1 word, right? So please word limit ध्यान से देख लेना क्या, then start writing. You don't want to be in a position where you end up, instead of 500 characters limit, you have written a 500 word essay and then you're trying to cut it short. तो उसका ध्यान रखेंगे. Also, the flip side, if it is a 500 word SOP, try to at least reach 450 odd words. Again, it's not as if you will be marked on the length of your answer, but having spent 18 years of our lives, our entire schooling journey, I'm sure you can fill pages about what you've gone through, right? I'm sure there would be a vision of where you're going, and definitely there is a lot of information about any college that you're applying for. So एक basic courtesy होती है कि हाँ यार, मेरे को अगर if I'm being given that opportunity, I will at least make that effort, right? So it's a hygiene sort of factor. Do not write a 100-word SOP for a 500 limit essay. Avoid repetition of words and phrases. Now, this is basic writing, and I think you would know. Do not keep using the same sort of word or a phrase again and again very quickly. Does not sound very nice. Also, when you're writing the SOP, write it in first person, because it is your statement of purpose of what you will do and not what will happen. The language has to be formal because it is for admission to a college. An active voice. I went through and did this, and not something happened to me. In that sense, I was the change agent. Of course, stay humble, but you have to be the driver of this essay. Also, sometimes what happens is when you're writing an SOP, the college might ask specific questions. So, write a statement of purpose specifically covering your academic subjects, might be the question. Write an SOP which focuses on uh, your long-term goals and how you want to contribute to the society. I'm just trying to give examples here. If there is a specific question as part of the SOP, that question has to be answered. ठीक, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि मैं उस पार्ट को मिस कर दूंगा. ठीक है. So if it says talk about your academic subjects and how they help you make a choice for graduation, that part has to be there in the SOP, apart from the 3 questions that I'm answering, right? Or it might not be a question, it might just be a point as well. तो अगर कुछ specific information point है, उसको हमको करना है. And again, the idea is on readability. Use actual language. Actual language मतलब जो हम use करते हैं अपने लिए. Because there might be an interaction with the panelists in the college which is asking for an SOP. The written language should not be very different from what you're going to speak. नहीं तो पता चल जाता है कि this is not what you have written. ठीक है. So your language as close as possible. Obviously थोड़ा बहुत tools तो मैं use करूंगा ही, but as close as possible. Short paragraphs, connected paragraphs. The last line of one paragraph should feed into the first line of the second paragraph, so points are connected. And simple structure. Do not write very long statements, sentences, because they lose meaning. Do's and don'ts. Can we use tools for our SOP? What are these tools? There is something called as Grammarly. I don't know how many of you know about it, but it helps you improve your grammar in the written thing. Words वगैरह अच्छे बता देती है. Then there is something called as Chat GPT. People above 40 are using it as Google, but people younger than 20 are using it for everything. So देखो, using tools is fine, but do not expect only Chat GPT to give your answer. There are two problems with that. Number one, Chat GPT does not know your story. It will write a story that it has read from the internet, है ना? तो हो सकता है माइकल डेविस का जो लाइफ स्टोरी हो तुम्हारी लाइफ स्टोरी में मैच हो जाए, इन द सेंस what he has gone through becomes your reality, which you don't have to. Number one. Number two, देखो, you also understand चैट जीपीटी का लिखा हुआ कंटेंट पता चल जाता है. No matter how good your prompt is, write it in the easiest language, write it in a language of someone who's from class 12, whatever, पर वो पता चल जाता है. The moment it is identified as something that chat gpt has done, uh, you will not get marks for it, you will not get any credit for it, right? So even if you're using chat gpt, I don't have a problem, but reword those ideas in your own language, in your own thought. Grammarly जैसा tool use करने में the idea or the argument does not change, it stays intact. Chat gpt will change the argument as well, right? And therefore it is not your story anymore. तो उसका ध्यान रखना when you're using tools. Adjectives have to be used wisely. Both overuse and underuse could be a problem. For example, I am someone who participates in MUNs versus I'm an active participant. The meaning changes. Meaningful, rewarding, whatever. So adjectives का use ढंग से करना है. Unnecessarily don't use adjectives, and wherever possible try to use adjectives so it enhances your action or whatever you've contributed. Next, do not ABC. Do not apologize. Do not brag. Do not criticize. What is this? देखो, हो सकता है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ आई हैव टू राइट माई एसओपी गोइंग बैक, मतलब मैं सिर्फ आई एम राइटिंग माई एसओपी फॉर पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन, आई एम डूइंग माई इंजीनियरिंग, ओके. अब मेरे 10th 12th से मार्क्स कम थे, ठीक, मतलब कम इन द सेंस मैं तो जितने ला सकता हूँ उतने लाया, मैं थोड़ी कम लाऊंगा यार, बट बाकियों से कम थे. तो it is okay, I don't have to be apologetic about it in my SOP, right? It is part of my life story, and despite that I am in a position where I am writing the SOP for your college. So I meet all the criteria that your college has set. Unnecessarily apologetic nahi hona. Even though I did not score well in class 10th, I did not let that pull me down, unless of course it is part of an angle of the story, तो अलग बात है. But unnecessarily don't let these things bother you. Do not brag unless, देखो पहली बात तो इफ इट इज समथिंग दैट यू डन व्हिच इज रियली कमेंडेबल, तो बाय डिफॉल्ट वो ह्यूमिलिटी आ जाती है. यू विल नॉट सी विराट कोहली सेइंग कि मैं बहुत सेंचुरी मारता हूँ, ठीक है. बट कभी कभी क्या होता है, हम लोग यू नो वी विन सम थिंग्स विदाउट डिस्पाइट ऑल द ऑड्स. एंड अब मेरे पास 2-3 विन है, उसी से मैं लिख रहा हूँ अपना एसओपी. आई टेंड टू ओवर एग्जैजरेट ऑन देम. वो ब्रैगर्ट वाला फीलिंग नहीं आना चाहिए. सो इवन इफ यू डन समथिंग गुड, बी हम्बल अबाउट इट. And see, what you do not do is never criticize. Do not say that my school had a problem and therefore I could not take part in extracurricular activities. I would have been the best photographer in the world, but मैं school में time नहीं देते थे. Do not write things like these. Again, ये होना भी नहीं चाहिए. This is a feeling that you should not have in general also, for the simple reason, अगर अपने स्कूल के बारे में सोच रहे हो तो अपने कॉलेज के बारे में ये सोचोगे, है ना? तो आई मीन फर्स्ट पर्सन एक्टिव वॉइस में आई डू नॉट से उसकी वजह से मैं ये नहीं कर पाया, ठीक है. सो डू नॉट अपोलोजाइज, डू नॉट ब्रैग, डू नॉट क्रिटिसाइज. यू आर हु यू आर एंड गुड इनफ टू गेट इन द कॉलेज दैट यू आर अप्लाइंग फॉर. ऑल इन ऑल, इट इज योर स्टोरी इन योर वर्ड्स. बी स्पेसिफिक, बिकॉज आपकी स्टोरी को आपसे बेटर कोई और नहीं जानता है. उसमें वेग नहीं हो सकते. यू आर नॉट ट्राइंग टू एक्सप्लेन a concept, an academic concept जो गोल गोल करूंगा क्योंकि मुझे याद नहीं रह गया. You have to be specific as far as possible. Be honest, because then you don't have to overthink if it is a interaction. Definitely be positive. जो भी हुआ है अच्छा ही हुआ है, अच्छा ही होगा. And be clear about what you want to do, right? What will be the writing process? I mean, क्या लिखना है वो बता दिया, करेंगे कैसे? First of all, if this might be something that you would want to do as soon as possible for yourself, You write your master's CV. Now, what is a master's CV? This is a CV that you will not share with anyone, but it will have all the information that you will ever need. So, abhi tak jo bhi hua hai. So, anything that you think is useful, whether it is participation in a spoon and lemon race in class 3, likh lo. Participation certificate in GK competition in class 4, likh lo. Fifth prize in fifth rank in class 6th, likh lo. You never know when it might come in handy. So your master CV will have every point that you can think of about yourself. From this, you will be easily able to shape up the first question, who you are. The second part is research. Research the college. Ideally, it should be opposite, the reverse. Research the subject. Most of you would have done by now. Research the course. Why is a course an honors program? What are the parts of that course? Why is it a course with some other sort of specialization with it or whatever? And then research the college. What is unique about the college? Why does the college say it is good? Specific facts, not just adjectives. So this will be part of your purpose. Now, the first point here and the second point here, a lot of it is available on paper, in the sense that your email ID will have a lot of your master CV points. Google will have all the points for the second thing. The long-term goals is something that you have to sit and think about. Google will not help you with this. Your strengths, your weaknesses are things that you have to sit and think about. Your personality related questions are something that you have to think about. Do not use lines from the internet, because किसी और ने भी करी होंगी तो पता चल जाएगा कि चेप क्या आएगा. ठीक है? So this is something that you have to think about. Once you have information about the first 3 points on this slide, that is where you start being creative and you brainstorm to put that information on paper in a way that it answers my 3 questions in a text format which is readable, has a decent flow, and therefore sticks once I'm done reading it. Obviously, this will not happen in one go. You will have a first draft. You will go through it. You will fall in love with it. खुद लिखा है. फिर उसको बंद कर देंगे. फिर थोड़ी देर बाद फिर खोलेंगे. And we look at obvious questions. यार अगर मैं ये लिख रहा हूँ, what will be the obvious question that springs in mind? You might want to take feedback from parents, friends, relatives, faculty members, because all of them will have an idea of some aspect of your personality. कुछ चीजें नहीं पता होंगी तो by default questions आते हैं, ये ऐसा क्यों लिखा? Why? What do you mean by this? Once you know the obvious questions, you review your SOP so that the first level questions are answered. Right? I do not want a reader to be stuck with basic questions and not be engaged in my story. So again, uh, I review those basic questions, try to answer them. If need be, make the text a bit succinct, and then I do the second draft. I repeat the process until I feel it is just right, and when that happens, it is good to go. Do not put your SOP writing to the last day, ideally, यार, because फिर ना वही है, कन्विक्शन वाली बात है. You, even though you do a good job, खुद को कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं आता, लगता है थोड़ा और बेटर लिख सकता था. So have some time. Any creative process should be given enough time to go through some sort of iterations. So वो करोगे, will be good for you, right? So majorly that is what the SOP was: the questions to be answered, the things to be remembered, the do's and don'ts, and the writing process. Once you do write your SOP, please do get in touch with any one of us, and we can review your SOPs, give our feedback on it, and if there is any questions, feel free to bump in. Right? That's all for this video. Thank you very much. Do take care of yourselves, and मिलते हैं जल्दी फिर. Bye.